In questo video entriamo negli uffici di Bitpanda, il più grande broker cripto europeo, per scoprire com'è nata, com'è cresciuta e come si gestisce un'azienda che vale più di 4 miliardi di euro. Nella prima parte del video faremo un tour della loro sede centrale di Vienna con Massimo Di Rosa, il country manager Italia, a cui chiederò anche la loro strategia per crescere nel mercato italiano. Dopodiché con Lucas Conrad, il CEO di Bitpanda, andremo a vedere la sua storia, i vari modelli di business di Bitpanda, in parole povere come fanno soldi, quali sono i loro progetti di crescita aziendale e i loro segreti e cosa si aspetta dal mondo cripto nel prossimo futuro. Poi, come sapete, sono curioso e 2 domande su come lui investe gliele ho fatte.
Buongiorno, sono Massimo Di Rosa, Country Director di Bitpanda per Italia. Oggi siamo a Vienna, nel nostro headquarter.
Da quant'è che siete qua?
In questo building da circa un paio d'anni, però Bitpanda appunto nasce nel 2014, quindi un veterano nell'industria delle cripto. Questo appunto è il nostro ingresso. Qua abbiamo i nostri 2 fantastici partner, il Milan, ovviamente il Bayern Monaco. Dobbiamo aggiungere il terzo, che è il Paris Saint-Germain. In questo building lavorano circa 400-500 persone, però globalmente siamo circa in 800. Abbiamo una serie di hub in Europa, da Barcellona a Londra, poi abbiamo uffici presenti nei nostri core mercati, tra cui appunto l'Italia, la Francia, la Germania, l'Austria e la Svizzera.
Tu da quant'è che lavori per Bitpanda?
Io sono arrivato ad agosto del 2024, quindi all'incirca 5-6 mesi che sono qui in Bitpanda. Il ruolo, appunto, come vi dicevo, sono responsabile del mercato italiano per il broker. Stiamo lanciando il mercato italiano e vediamo sicuramente dei segnali molto positivi.
In Italia con quante persone lavori?
Calcola che lavoro appunto con un team molto più diffuso in Europa, quindi è un team allargato, lavoriamo in maniera ibrida, però in Italia in questo momento siamo 4 persone, ma abbiamo un piano di assunzione per il 2025 e contiamo di arrivare almeno a 7 persone.
Ma e le aree geografiche dove avete più clienti quali sono?
Ovviamente la regione DACH, quindi con l'Austria che è il nostro mercato padre, la Germania, la Svizzera, Francia e Italia in questo ordine esattamente.
Questa è una stanza che io da content creator invidio molto.
Sì, è molto bella, qui appunto avviene la magia del contenuto appunto che creiamo. Siamo molto, come dire, orgogliosi di questa stanza.
E la maggior parte del tuo tempo lo passi qui negli uffici a Vienna o in Italia?
No, in realtà la maggior parte del tempo, direi un buon 70-80% lo passo in Italia, abbiamo gli uffici a Milano, e un 20% lo passo viaggiando, e direi di quel 20% almeno più della metà lo passo appunto nell'headquarter a Vienna, dove appunto abbiamo il nostro board of directors e tutti appunto i global team con cui lavoriamo, quindi anche il team di piuttosto performance marketing, social media e quant'altro, quindi i nostri team globali. Il nostro Panda Bistro,
bellissimo.
Uno dei benefit aziendali appunto per chi lavora qui a Vienna appunto è il cibo gratis, diciamo a tutte le ore tendenzialmente, frutta, qualsiasi tipo di bevande, perché crediamo sicuramente che questo possa beneficiare un pochettino la produttività. Abbiamo tra l'altro un buonissimo caffè che da italiano è importantissimo, quindi quando vengo qua...
Prima di lavorare per Bitpanda cosa facevi?
Ho viaggiato parecchio, nel senso che sono stato in Germania, Francia, Irlanda, Inghilterra gli ultimi 5 anni, sono stato a Londra, ho lavorato nell'ambito dell'M&A e della consulenza strategica per Monitor Deloitte. Poi ad agosto 2024, come dicevo prima, mi ha raccontato una bellissima storia Bitpanda che appunto si sta avverando, e quindi ho deciso di intraprendere questa nuova avventura con Bitpanda.
Di cosa ti occupi principalmente come country manager? Sviluppo del mercato, il che vuol dire acquisizione di nuovi clienti?
Esattamente, ovviamente i principali 2 indicatori sono diciamo, aumentare quelle che sono le nostre revenue in Italia e la nostra market share, però il lavoro di un country manager dico sempre che è un lavoro generalista, nel senso che giornalmente guardo lato, come dire, prodotto, dall'onboarding journey dei nostri clienti fino alla parte di marketing, branding, la parte di pagamenti, tutta la parte di pubbliche relazioni e anche relazioni istituzionali appunto con banche piuttosto che con le istituzioni governative.
E la cosa più complessa qual è, secondo tua esperienza?
Io credo che la cosa più complessa sia dare priorità alle cose. Ci sono tantissime cose che in una giornata si possono fare e quello che è veramente importante è selezionare 1, 2, 3 priorità, metterle sul top della lista e riuscire a eseguire quelle al 100% e di prioritizzare l'altro.
Quali sono le KPI che guardi più spesso?
KPI ovviamente da un punto di vista di diciamo user acquisition sono quanti utenti scaricano l'app, quanti utenti si registrano alla piattaforma, i volumi di trading, dai volumi di trading qual è la nostra trade fee, quindi questi tendenzialmente sono i KPI che giornalmente tengo sott'occhio, ma anche KPI più tecnici come per esempio tutti gli step dell'onboarding journey, dalla parte di registrazione fino alla parte diciamo di KYC e quant'altro, quindi per noi è importante avere un onboarding flow che sia abbastanza smooth e semplice per i nostri utenti. Siamo al 3° piano del nostro edificio, in ogni piano abbiamo il contatore dei nostri clienti, quindi come potete vedere siamo oggi a circa 6 milioni e 250.000 arrotondando. Ogni piano più o meno è uguale, abbiamo appunto la cucina su ogni piano.
Quanti clienti avete in Italia in questo momento?
Circa 100.000 al terzo piano, appunto vi dicevo che è famoso per la nostra trading room, quindi una stanza incredibilmente importante. Bitpanda ha anche un over the counter desk, ricordo che siamo un broker, non siamo un exchange, c'è una differenza appunto importante tra broker e exchange.
Qual è la differenza?
Il broker, diciamo in maniera molto semplice, si attacca ai vari exchange e quello che appunto noi cerchiamo di fare è quello di dare ai nostri clienti il miglior prezzo medio sul mercato in quel momento. Abbiamo questa posizione appunto di vantaggio rispetto a un exchange che fa diciamo il suo prezzo, noi invece facciamo il prezzo del mercato.
Quindi avete diversi book e diversi market maker, immagino?
Assolutamente sì, ci connettiamo sui principali exchange a livello globale.
Poi ragazzi, se volete provare Bitpanda, in descrizione trovate il mio link invita un amico che vi permette di ricevere fino a 50 euro bonus se vi iscrivete ed effettuate un primo deposito.
Anche le nostre meeting rooms hanno il nome appunto di o un paese o di un continente. I piani sono molto simili tra di loro, sono fatti diciamo a semicerchio e lavoriamo tendenzialmente in un open space con una hot desking policy.
Non c'è un piano per ogni team, però ognuno può mettersi dove vuole?
Tendenzialmente sì, quello che posso dire è che i nostri C-level e il nostro team commerciale tendenzialmente sta al quinto piano, mentre al terzo piano abbiamo appunto, come ti dicevo, la parte più legata al trading e la parte anche di prodotto.
Alcune curiosità? Tu quando passi il tempo qui cosa fai di solito?
Quando passo il tempo qui cerco di passare la maggior parte del tempo con il team con il quale appunto lavoro in remoto, quindi team globali, principalmente social media, user acquisition, anche affiliates, diciamo un'opportunità per rendere più forti i rapporti che ho con gli stakeholder, sia appunto C-level che parte del team.
Curiosità sul cliente italiano rispetto ai clienti di altri paesi, cosa avete notato? Cosa hai notato?
Quello che possiamo vedere dai volumi di trading è che i clienti italiani sono molto forti sulla parte di diciamo criptovalute tradizionali come Bitcoin, Ethereum, quindi abbiamo molti volumi di trading su queste due valute, ma c'è un forte interesse anche per la parte appunto di leva. Qui siamo al quinto piano dove c'è il nostro team commercial, qui davanti a me ci sono appunto gli uffici del Chief Commercial Officer e del nostro Deputy CEO, è molto simile al piano che abbiamo visto prima, quindi anche qui open space e hot desking policy principalmente, anche se ovviamente le persone molto abituate alla routine, quindi gli piace diciamo mantenere lo stesso desk, però la policy è hot desking.
E come team, quali sono i team più grandi in termini di personale?
Decisamente il team commerciale è uno dei più grandi, assieme appunto al team di prodotto. Poi ovviamente abbiamo tutta la parte di back office, però direi il team di prodotto e il team commerciale sono i principali.
Ma e in questo momento dove state assumendo come ruoli?
In questo momento stiamo assumendo in Italia e in Francia perché stiamo appunto localizzando molto i due mercati, ma ugualmente stiamo assumendo in altri mercati core come l'Austria ovviamente, dove abbiamo appunto i team globali, la Germania e la Svizzera. Abbiamo appunto due team, uno a Barcellona che si occupa della parte di engineering e l'altro appunto a Londra che è un mix diciamo di compliance e marketing e anche la parte diciamo di affiliate.
Se puoi dirci qualche curiosità sul lifetime value di un cliente italiano rispetto ai clienti in giro per il mondo e al costo di acquisizione.
Quello che posso dire è che i costi di acquisizione sui mercati europei sono ancora relativamente bassi da dove siamo ora appunto nell'industria, quindi tendenzialmente oggi conviene entrare in un mercato ancora in maniera organica rispetto appunto che entrare con delle operazioni straordinarie, quindi delle operazioni di M&A, e vediamo appunto che il customer lifetime value dei clienti italiani comunque è in forte salita. Se guardiamo appunto alcuni dati pubblici, in Italia ci sono circa 1,6 milioni di persone che investono all'interno di criptovalute, questo era appunto ad agosto del 2024, quindi vediamo che non soltanto aumentano coloro appunto in Italia che investono in cripto, ma aumenta anche appunto il loro customer lifetime value. Qui siamo davanti all'ufficio del nostro CEO e founder Eric, questa appunto è la nostra boardroom che si chiama Germany.
Come investimenti per il futuro, lato marketing, come vi state comportando in Italia? Quali sono alcune curiosità e magari se hai qualche cosa da dirci sul marketing mix che state utilizzando in questo momento?
Come magari avete già visto, siamo ufficialmente back of shirt sponsor del Milan, appunto abbiamo esordito per il derby, quindi un investimento importantissimo va in sponsorship con il Milan, diciamo a livello locale, ma abbiamo delle partnership anche a livello europeo, come menzionavo prima, col Paris Saint-Germain, il Bayern Monaco, l'NFL, abbiamo un accordo con DAZN in Europa. Lato diciamo media sponsorship investiamo parecchio, ma ovviamente il marketing mix non finisce lì perché abbiamo un forte motore di performance marketing, quindi siamo sui canali principali di performance marketing e anche la parte ovviamente di affiliazione, quindi tutto quello che riguarda affiliates, KOLs, influencer.
E quanto pesano in termini relativi, se dovessi dare un numero?
Non posso darti un numero preciso, però il budget di marketing è sicuramente la voce di costo più grande che abbiamo.
E com'è diviso in termini di marketing mix?
Assolutamente, noi lo dividiamo principalmente in tre sezioni: la parte di awareness, la parte di performance, ok? Quindi la parte di user acquisition e poi la parte di engagement, che è più la parte diciamo legata a attività di CRM e quant'altro. La parte di awareness oggi pesa moltissimo, soprattutto in Italia, perché il brand è ancora da costruire in Italia, quindi circa un 50% del budget è destinato alla parte di awareness.
Quindi il resto, 50%, è diviso tra performance e affiliate.
Esattamente, direi 50-30-20 tendenzialmente, ma ballpark numbers.
In termini di localizzazione ci sono tantissimi clienti italiani che ovviamente non vedono l'ora di avere conti con il regime amministrato. Voi come vi state comportando da quel punto di vista?
Beh, sulla parte diciamo di tassazione tendenzialmente diciamo in maniera molto generale ci stiamo muovendo e entro il metà 2025 offriremo ai nostri clienti una soluzione diciamo più localizzata anche da un punto di vista di regime fiscale e tassazione.
E se dovessi dirmi com'è una tua giornata tipo?
Mi alzo circa alle 7 del mattino, non guardo il telefono per almeno una mezz'ora. Credo che la colazione sia uno dei pasti più importanti, quindi è importante fare una bella colazione e nel frattempo che faccio colazione comincio a guardare quelle che sono le notizie del giorno, principalmente sui principali diciamo, canali di notizie sia nazionali che internazionali. Mi preparo, vado in ufficio appunto quando sono a Milano e quando non viaggio e la prima cosa che faccio quando arrivo in ufficio è guardo i numeri del giorno prima, quanti sign up ci sono stati, quanti app download ci sono stati, quanto fatturato abbiamo fatto e guardo anche tutte le dashboard da un punto di vista di onboarding journey per capire appunto se ci sono dei problemi. Dopo la mia giornata parte con una serie di chiamate, quindi mi connetto con i vari team di prodotto, i vari team di marketing per capire appunto quelle che sono le priorità del giorno, le priorità della settimana. Poi concludo la mia giornata facendo sport. Sport è un'altra parte importantissima della mia vita. Vado in palestra, ma mi piace anche giocare a tennis e a padel. Poi la sera magari ultime 2 email, leggo ancora un paio di notizie e poi mi preparo per andare a letto.
Ma ora ripercorriamo la storia di Bitpanda con Lucas, l'amministratore delegato, per poi capire come anche loro investono nel mondo cripto.
Here in Vienna, Austria, 10 years ago, actually, in 2014, early 2015, Bitpanda was founded and established back then with the simple idea of making buying and investing into Bitcoin as easy as possible. And over the last more than 10 years nowadays, we not just have become the leading European crypto platform, actually, a crypto broker, but especially have the largest coin offering because we simply have seen that what Bitcoin was in the beginning, nowadays has become much more in crypto. So much more assets, much more coins, which are interesting for everyone. And the other point is we always were focusing on regulation, right? I mean, when you are established and founded in Europe, you know and understand the complexity of different countries, different jurisdictions, different laws. And therefore for us, being the regulated and safe place was always very important.
And what did you learn in the last 10 years about this market?
I mean, first of all, the market is not just very volatile, but especially dynamic, right? I think every bull market had another theme, like what NFTs have been in the last one. This time it's much more the application layer, it's DeFi to a certain degree in the current bull market and everything which is built on Solana. So I think that's always quite interesting to see how the technology actually evolves from cycle to cycle. Nevertheless, I think what we've also seen is that an industry is maturing, right? What crypto was 5 years or 10 years even ago, completely different, much more immature to what it is now, right? So now you have companies like us, 700 employees, working for the best for our customers.
Bitpanda è uno di quei rari casi di startup arrivate alla profittabilità senza raccogliere finanziamenti, ma al di là di questo hanno comunque raccolto nel tempo più di 500 milioni di dollari e in questo momento sono valutati più di 4 miliardi. Qual è stata la loro strategia?
I think when you found a startup and you're at a very early stage, it's always the question, right? Do you already raise some money at the beginning or how can you scale a business? But we at Bitpanda always looked for how can we sustainably grow, right? Yeah. So we already are profitable since 2016 actually.
Okay.
Every year besides 2022, which was a quick dip due to the market, but nevertheless back to profitability in 2023 and also for 2024, because we believe growth always needs to be sustainable, right? Like from a regulatory perspective, you need to be safe and secure one, and therefore also economically wise, it's important to be secure. And funding for us was always just additional growth capital, which we looked for, but never a reason to scale over proportionally our business.
And how do you make money?
I mean, honestly, in general, what we aim to is provide value add to our customers, right? So ensuring that you have a safe and secure place to store your assets, but also to trade any of these crypto assets. So what we do actually is taking a certain fee, a trade fee on every trade. However, we do not charge anything for custody. That's completely for free. We are regulated by BaFin in Germany, by the Austrian Financial Market Authority in Austria, and have MiCA licenses also at these places. So for us, that's much more important to ensure that it doesn't matter how long you hold, if you buy and trade quickly, or if you hold for the next 10 years, we're not going to charge you anything for that.
Is there any other smaller business model that you are trying to look or that you are building?
For sure, absolutely. As we have seen a couple of years ago, that when banks are now moving into and also want to offer crypto, right? It's all about how can they offer that. And we as Bitpanda also have a B2B business where we serve these banks. A good example is N26, a neobank from Germany, for example, the crypto offering powered by Bitpanda. Or Raiffeisen Cooperative Banking Group in Austria, they are a crypto offering directly integrated into the online banking powered by Bitpanda. And for sure there, as a software provider, we also have a different type of revenue stream. Why? Because for us it was important that when banks are moving into it, we have the technology, we have the expertise, we have the regulatory framework, we can support them easily.
And moving forward, do you see any other business model?
I think for us, the whole space of Web3 is very interesting. I think a lot of our users already use Web3 wallets and other Web3 applications, and we definitely aim to move also into that space. But as I said, in the end, revenue is always a secondary. For us, it's about creating application usage and the value add for our customer base. And this is by giving them access in a safe and secure way to the largest amount of assets, but also to leverage trading and to staking and other type of functionalities across our platform and across crypto so that they can interact with on-chain activity.
Ok, ma arrivati fino a qui, qual è la loro strategia di crescita per il futuro?
From a brand positioning perspective, we believe that we are the premium and lifestyle crypto platform here in Europe. That means we partner up with the best. This is the reason why we partnered in Germany up with FC Bayern Munich as a football club, in Paris and France with Paris Saint-Germain, and in Italy with AC Milan. Because we believe having a strong branding partner for a local market is very important to not just ensure that our brand gets recognized, but much more that crypto in general can even become more public knowledge in society. We have around about 10% of people already being invested somehow into crypto, and this is growing every year. And we believe that we can support that by just sharing our vision, just sharing our brand and enabling people to buy crypto as easy as possible.
I'm curious, how do you measure the return on that kind of investment by partnering with Milan or Bayern Munich?
I think you cannot measure it just on a sole discretionary thing. If you think about AC Milan, for example, and partnering there, it's much more the whole combination and marketing mix for a country. Nevertheless, we believe, and we also see that in our numbers, you need to get the word out about our company, but especially also about crypto. And this is why we are not just advertising Bitpanda, but we are advertising crypto in general via these partnerships and then activate it locally in the market with ambassadors, with people locally, with community building and stuff.
Insomma, Bitpanda si sente ben piazzata in un mercato in espansione da cui possono raccogliere i frutti del loro lavoro. Ma qual è il loro rapporto con i competitor? Considerando che nascono come funghi e molto spesso non badano nemmeno alle leggi e regolamentazioni attualmente in essere?
We are not looking that much on what is the competition doing, because we believe in two main things. A, building a great product and convincing people by simply the utility of it. And on the other side, to ensure that we are safe and secure. And safe and secure you can only ensure by following laws and regulation, and not just playing by the rules, but being compliant with them and being compliant at a proper standard, right? We are not regulated somewhere. We are regulated mostly in Germany, in Austria, in very strict regulatory environments here in Europe from a law perspective. So it's the gold standard when it comes to financial market regulation. And we believe that that actually is the value add for the end customers, that they know that they can even store and custodize their asset with us because it's safe. And even in the case of whenever you have any issues, you cannot just write us an email or get a call from us, but you can even drive to our office here and see us and meet us. So it's completely clear where to find us compared to other exchanges which sit on some islands or somewhere else.
Okay, and so for the future, do you think that these other exchanges are gonna go away from the market? What's your approach in that? You don't really care?
you just...
I mean, honestly, everybody has a certain value proposition, but I think that what you will see is consolidation, definitely.
Okay.
So I think that some providers will not get a MiCA license in Europe, will not operate long-term at that extent anymore. Others obtaining the license will definitely also be in the market, but I think for us it's always in the end about one thing, building the best product for our customer base.
Yeah.
And this is, for example, having the largest staking offering with very, very competitive and market-leading yields. And this attracts then also, I think, our customers, and they value that a lot, and this helps.
For the future of the company, are you looking for an IPO? Are you looking to raise more money? What's the plan?
Honestly, I think currently we do not have any definite plan. It's for sure about what can be the next growth phase of a company, which we, from an overall perspective, are looking into, but nothing where we say, hey, this is the way and this is what we are actually really doing. It's much more that we believe there is still a lot of room to grow. The European market, now being completely freshly regulated under MiCA, is still very open. We believe that we have, for example, for Italian users, one of the best value propositions, if not the best, from a product perspective. And I think for us, it's much more focusing on the business and driving that instead of doing funding rounds or anything on the side. These things follow then business activity, and where it's needed, that you can do that, but it's not a main aim or so.
As for the consolidation, are you looking also to buy other providers or crypto exchange around Europe to consolidate certain market, or you are just focusing on the growth?
I think we are definitely also looking in M&A activities from time to time. For example, we bought in the past a crypto custody provider in the UK, former Trustology, now Bitpanda Custody, where we have seen definitely a value-adding technology product, but also customer base. For our markets, for certain, that definitely can also be a strategy, but nothing where we currently say, yes, in that market we already have done that for that and that reason. I also personally believe that's the wave which now is coming into the whole crypto market, because if you look on even other players in the market, they also not have done M&A activity for customer growth at a larger extent. That's probably the next phase of the industry.
As for the market in Europe, are you looking also to localize? Because, for example, at the moment I have a big collaboration, as you know, with the Trade Republic, and they just localized in Italy with the Italian IBAN and also the regime amministrato. That is a really big plus for them. What's your plan in that case?
Sure. I think in Europe, it's one continent, but it's 27 different markets.
Yeah.
And as we all know, cultural differences are there. And I think it's exactly the case that you need to cater these differences in the best way via things like you mentioned, IBANs and other things, but also within the product, in customer service, and every other dimension. So it's definitely something we are focusing on, because we believe that makes a difference, and also that it adds quality for the end user in the Italian market, for example.
I also know that you got the license in UAE, so you're starting to operate also there. What's the plan for that market?
I think what we actually in Europe achieved, that we are the trusted and secure player for crypto, is a value proposition also which works very well outside of Europe. And this is why we expanded to the UAE to provide our technology and our software to banks. And we've partnered up, for example, with the 5th largest bank in the UAE, RAK Bank, to provide them crypto services and other services around blockchain technology, or with other local crypto platforms to be a software provider in that region.
Are you looking to expand in any other region, like US or Asia?
No plans which we currently are able to announce, but I believe every market who gets regulated and gets suddenly regulatory clarity, like we in Europe already have, as probably the first larger economic area globally, is interesting for us, because this is where we can play our strength, being compliant, being trustworthy, and having the best product in that regard.
Ma al di là di Bitpanda, come vedi l'evoluzione del mercato cripto?
I think what you strongly see is that crypto gets more and more integrated across different channels and our society. On the one side, the banking industry, meaning that banks, financial institutions, ETF providers and others, family offices are starting to offer that, and therefore lowering access and giving people access who probably have not yet onboarded with a crypto platform. So that's definitely something where growth for the asset class, but also in general for the industry, can be seen from. And the other aspect is much more on the side of DeFi and on-chain and blockchain technology, where I personally believe that we will see an even stronger move into on-chain interactions for trading, yes, but even also for other services like earning yield. We already see that on-chain, but also other use cases like if you play a computer game which suddenly utilizes blockchain technology for tokenizing certain assets or ownership rights, right? Then it's suddenly also something where you need to have a Web3 wallet and some interaction with blockchain activity, even if you're not even experiencing that it's blockchain, because it's integrated into some interface. And I think we'll see much more coming from the entertainment industry. Also interesting to follow what Sony actually is building that with their Soneon blockchain out of Japan and so on. So I think these are the first steps into making Web3 more attractive long-term for the masses besides DeFi, decentralized finance, as a trading medium.
This is a super volatile market, as we all know. It's going to stay the same. It's going to be still volatile and not that much regulated around the world. What's your approach in that?
Sure, I think it's two different things, right? Regulation will come to all the markets, and it's just a matter of time.
Yep.
We've also seen that now with the change in the US government, where there's suddenly much more pro-crypto, but also pro-crypto regulation drive. So that will be interesting to see when there are regulatory clarity, meaning laws hit the US to make it clear how to operate there, especially crypto services. The other thing is the price, right? And how prices of crypto assets behave. And I think the volatility is just part of the asset class. And now you can say volatility for certain assets like Bitcoin, while it grows price-wise, the volatility in absolute numbers gets less. Yes, that's maturing of an asset, but the whole asset class still is very, very volatile if you compare it to other asset classes. So I would say it's a feature, not a bug.
Okay, so, yeah. Got you. What about your portfolio? Are you invested in crypto? Where do you invest?
Sure. In general, I'm personally a long-term investor in crypto, but also in other asset classes, but especially Bitcoin and other assets, because I believe that the technology has all different types of use cases.
If you can picture your portfolio in relative terms?
From an asset class perspective, I think there are certain larger investments like certain ETFs, S&P 500, and just to capture the Eurostoxx 50.
And what's the weight of those parts? I'm curious, how much do you have in crypto? How much do you have, not in, of course, in numbers, but in relative terms?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's definitely, if you think about non-crypto related investments, it's probably like 60 to 70% of the portfolio, and 30 to 40% in crypto assets, because I'm a huge believer in not just the intrinsic value of crypto, but also the underlying technology. And I think there were 10 years now of infrastructure development, of blockchain and L1s and L2s and the different types of techs. And now we will see the next 5 to 10 years the application of that.
Which cryptocurrency do you invest in at the moment?
I'm a huge believer in the top coins, meaning Bitcoin is great, Solana has a great performance also over the last year actually, Ethereum still a very strong ecosystem and underlying technology.
And what's your approach in that? Are you speculating or you're just accumulating for the long run?
I'm definitely a long-term investor. So either from work perspective, I even do not have the time to invest, very short-term driven, but I also believe in the long-term value gain of such assets, and that's why I'm in for the long.
I'm curious what you think about all the things that happened with Trump and the meme coins and what's going on in US.
Sure, I think what we definitely have seen with Trump is a much more positive outlook for getting regulatory clarity, meaning the laws for operating crypto safely in the US, and also that they want to make bringing crypto companies back to the US. A lot moved out to the UK, to the UAE, across the world, because there was a very negative environment over the last 2.5 years in the US regarding crypto companies. This has changed now. Meme coins in general, I think, are an internet phenomenon which started with Dogecoin a couple of years ago, and now with dogs and cats and other animals which actually are traded a lot by the internet community. And it's a lot of fun, definitely, but it's always very, very hype driven. That's for sure.
I mean, that's betting, not investing. What's your approach in that?
I think there is a different investment use case for also these things. I would not say it's betting, it's much more, it's a community hype topic, right? Like when something goes viral on earlier YouTube, nowadays TikTok, for example, and people are sharing it a lot and having it. It's the same phenomenon for certain crypto assets, right? If suddenly a lot of people think, hey, that's cool, that's fun to invest into, then these things actually explode. And I think this also happened to Trump coin over the weekend, a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, I think that meme coin is completely crazy, but anyway.
As I said, I think probably from a long-term perspective, they are not a long-term asset to invest in.
Okay, I'm curious, what about your utility token, BEST? How do you use that, and what's your plan with that? Because it's super interesting. I want to hear also from the behind perspective what's going on.
I think for us, the Bitpanda ecosystem token is a very important thing. We launched it a couple of years ago as a loyalty program for the platform in the Bitpanda ecosystem. And I think since then, we as Bitpanda changed and evolved, and therefore also the Bitpanda ecosystem token, the use case and the utility has changed. What do I mean? It was in the beginning always to incentivize our customer base to use the token within Bitpanda and the ecosystem. But as the whole ecosystem is now moving on-chain and Web3 gets more and more relevant, I also believe that long-term our token needs to be even more on-chain and more relevant in that regard. So the utility which currently exists within the Bitpanda ecosystem needs also to be opened up for further use cases for that token. So we are personally investing a lot into how the token actually can look in the future and what use cases we can apply to that That's why we launched the whole Web3 initiative to also include our tokens there, where it's much more about how can they move also on-chain in regards of interactions and benefits for customers when they suddenly interact with blockchain technology. And that's definitely the next stage for our token.
Ma arrivando alla fine, come vedi il futuro di Bitpanda? Vi quoterete?
I think we're preparing already since a couple of years that we have the possibility once an opportunity arises, but it's not that we are actually said that's the timeline and that's a date, not at all. I think we,
But is it worth it for you?
As a company, you mean?
Yeah, as a company.
I mean, an IPO is just an additional growth event for getting additional capital to scale further and grow. For us, it was important.
Do you need that?
Currently, we are in Europe quite fine. I think for us, it's much more about while we are, as I expanded now to the UAE and thinking about when now other markets localize and regulate themselves, about how to tackle them outside Europe. That's definitely an angle where we are looking into how to do that long term. That can be then a reason for doing such a growth event for growth capital, but we'll see that along the way.
Any other curiosity or things that I didn't ask you that I should know? Or I should ask you? What do you think about?
Sure, that's definitely a good and fun question. I think always a fun fact in the back was our initial name was not Bitpanda, it was Coinimal, like coin and animal. But as it was quite hard to write and read for all different people, especially across Europe, we thought Coinimal is probably not a name which we can scale on the long term.
And why with Bitpanda?
And therefore it became Bitpanda. I think Bit is the smallest unit of something digital, and on the other side, the first part of Bitcoin was something which fitted quite well. And on the other side, it was a lot about 2015, which .com URL is still free and available, and what is a word which everybody globally can spell or cannot misspell. As I said, Coinimal was probably therefore not the right one. So it was Bitpanda then, and we are very happy about that since then. As
a CEO, what's the best advice that you would give to somebody looking to have a job similar to yours?
I think in the end it's just about one thing, a steep learning journey. And 10 years ago, I was always a huge believer that learning as much as possible on the job and off the job is the most important thing in life, because it's like skill and knowledge is something no one can take ever from you away, right? That will always be yours. And I would really say that also at least worked for me quite well, because I mean in crypto you need to learn a lot very fast, and I'm really enjoying it still every day, just doing as much as possible and learning as much as possible.
And for the employer perspective, how do you manage the team and all the employees of Bitpanda? What's your approach, and what's the biggest advice that you could give?
Sure, I'm a huge believer about two things, focus and empowerment. Focus means that you have people being responsible for certain parts of the business, of the product, of the customer service of a country, because then people can focus on that and can really deliver great results and value on that. The other one is empowerment. I think delegating decision power as much into the organization as possible is really crucial, because as you grow as a company, you need to ensure that your people can decide in the day-to-day work what's best for their job, what's best for their part of a customer journey. And companies get really slow if that still stays with the management or with the top of a company. Therefore, it's so important to get that into the people, into the teams, because then not just you as a company can run fast, but then the product which is the best suited for your customers get also built, because the people who decide on product are the ones who are building it.
And how many references do you have when you speak with the teams and people and managers? 10, 15 people, 20 people?
From
what's the
span of
approach?
control perspective, you mean? Around about 10 to 15, I think. That's what we actually have. I think that's a good size, about enabling enough people, but also still enough time for interactions together. Yes.
Grazie. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.